The jungle moon of Varos 4 glowed green and orange through the observation window. Una Park stood alone in the dark room, her forehead nearly touching the cold glass. She watched the mist roll between the massive trees below. Somewhere down there, in that endless sea of alien plants, the most dangerous creatures in the known galaxy hunted in silence. The Keth. Every species in the Galactic Coalition feared them. They were six-legged predators, each one the size of an earth tiger. Their bodies were covered in smooth black skin that shifted colors in the dark. Sharp spines ran along their backs like blades. Their eyes glowed with a soft blue light that could be seen from half a kilometer away. They moved without sound. They killed without mercy. And they had never, not once in recorded history, shown any behavior except pure aggression toward other living things. Una had studied them for 3 years now. She knew their hunting patterns, their mating calls, their territorial boundaries. She knew which plants they avoided and which caves they slept in during the hot season. She knew more about the Keth than perhaps any other human alive. And still, she was not allowed to go near them. The door behind her slid open with a soft hiss. Light from the hallway spilled into the observation room. "You're up late again." Una turned to see Commander Tai-Ho Kim standing in the doorway. He was a tall man with a serious face and gray hair at his temples. He had led the research mission on the GSS Horizon for 5 years. In that time, he had lost 2 crew members to the jungle below. He did not take risks anymore. "I couldn't sleep," Una said. Tai-Ho walked to stand beside her at the window. He looked down at the moon's surface with tired eyes. "The briefing is tomorrow morning," he said. "The Council wants another report on the Keth population. They're thinking about expanding mining operations to the Eastern Hemisphere." Una felt a cold feeling in her stomach. That's Keth territory. Their largest breeding grounds are there. I know. If they start mining, the Keth will attack. They'll lose workers. Then they'll send soldiers. Then they'll decide the Keth are too dangerous to exist. Tai-Ho was quiet for a long moment. "That's not our decision to make, Lieutenant. We observe. We report. That's all." Una wanted to argue, but she knew it would do no good. The Galactic Coalition saw the Keth as monsters, dangerous animals that stood in the way of profit. No amount of scientific data would change their minds. "Get some sleep," Tai-Ho said. He put a hand on her shoulder briefly, then walked away. The door closed behind him, and Una was alone again with the green glow of Varos 4. She stayed at the window for another hour, watching the mist move through the trees. Then something caught her eye. A light. Not the blue glow of adult Keth eyes. This was smaller, dimmer, and it was moving strangely. It would appear for a moment, then vanish, then appear again in almost the same spot. Like something was struggling. Una pulled up the drone footage on her tablet. She found the location and zoomed in. The image was grainy in the dark, but she could see enough. It was a cub. Keth cubs were born in groups of 4 or 5, and they stayed with their mother for the first 2 years of life. They were smaller than the adults, about the size of a large dog, and their spines were not yet fully formed. They were still dangerous, but not nearly as deadly as the grown ones. This cub was alone. That was wrong. Keth mothers never left their cubs. And this one was caught in something. The bioluminescent vines that grew near the research compound had wrapped around its back legs. It was pulling and twisting, but the vines only grew tighter. Una watched the cub struggle for several minutes. Its movements grew weaker. It was exhausted. If it stayed there until morning, something bigger would find it. Or it would simply die of thirst and hunger, trapped and alone. She knew what she should do. She should report it to the commander. She should let nature take its course. The Keth were not her responsibility. Getting close to them was forbidden for good reason. 3 previous expeditions had ended with dead researchers. But Yuna could not stop watching the small creature fight for its life. She thought about her grandmother back on Earth, who had told her stories about the old days. Her grandmother had grown up on a farm in the countryside. She had raised pigs and chickens, but she had also taken care of wild animals. Birds with broken wings, a fox cub that had lost its mother, a stray dog that wandered onto their property during a winter storm. Every living thing deserves a chance, her grandmother used to say. Even the ones that might bite you. Yuna made a decision. She went back to her quarters and changed into her thermal jacket. It was not armor. It would not protect her from calf spines or claws. But it was warm and flexible, and it did not make noise when she moved. She grabbed her medical kit and a handful of ration bars from her personal supply. The compound was quiet at this hour. Most of the crew was asleep. The security guards were focused on the main gates, watching for adult Keth approaching from the deeper jungle. No one expected anything to come from the inner perimeter. Yuna slipped out through a maintenance hatch on the south side of the compound. The warm, wet air of Varos 4 hit her face like a wall. The sounds of the jungle surrounded her. Clicking insects. Distant calls of creatures she could not name. The soft rustle of things moving through the undergrowth. She walked slowly, carefully, keeping her flashlight pointed at the ground. The bioluminescent plants gave off enough light to see by, but they also created strange shadows that played tricks on her eyes. It took her 20 minutes to find the cub. It was smaller than she expected. Its black skin was dull with exhaustion, and its eyes barely glowed at all. The vines had cut into its legs, leaving dark marks on its skin. When it saw Yuna approaching, it tried to hiss, but the sound came out weak and broken. Yuna stopped 3 meters away and knelt down in the dirt. "Hey there," she said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The cub watched her with those dim blue eyes. Its small chest rose and fell rapidly with fear and exhaustion. Yuna pulled out a ration bar and held it up so the cub could see. Then she tossed it gently, landing it just within reach of the trapped creature. The cub flinched at the movement. Then it smelled the food. Its eyes grew a little brighter. After a long moment of hesitation, the cub stretched its neck forward and took the ration bar in its teeth. It ate quickly, desperately, barely chewing before swallowing. Yuna smiled. "That's right," she whispered. "It's okay. I'm a friend." She did not know if the cub could understand her words. Probably not. But she hoped it could understand her tone, her body language, her lack of threat. She moved a little closer, and the cub did not run. The cub finished eating and looked at Yuna with something that might have been curiosity. Its eyes were brighter now, glowing that soft blue color that all Keth had. Up close, Yuna could see the small spines along its back. They were only half-formed, soft at the tips, not yet the deadly blades they would become in adulthood. She reached slowly into her medical kit and pulled out a small cutting tool. The cub's eyes followed her hand, watching every movement. Its body was tense, ready to struggle again if needed. "Easy," Yuna said. "I just need to cut these vines. Hold still for me, okay?" She moved forward on her knees, keeping her body low and unthreatening. The cub let out a small growl, but it did not try to bite or claw at her. It was too tired, too weak. Maybe it understood that this strange creature was trying to help. Or maybe it simply had no energy left to fight. Yuna reached the vines and began cutting carefully. The bioluminescent plants were tough, but her tool was sharp. One by one, the thick strands fell away. The cub whimpered as circulation returned to its legs. The marks left by the vines were deep and ugly, dark against the creature's black skin. "I know it hurts," Yuna said. "I'm sorry. But you're almost free." She cut the last vine, and the cub pulled its legs toward its body with a cry of pain and relief. It lay there for a moment, breathing heavily, not trying to run. Una took the opportunity to examine its wounds more closely. The cuts were not too deep. No infection yet, which was lucky. She pulled out a tube of healing gel from her kit. It was designed for human skin, but the basic chemistry should work on any carbon-based life form. This might sting a little, she warned. She squeezed a small amount of gel onto her fingers and reached toward the cub's legs. The creature flinched but did not pull away. Una spread the gel gently over the wounds, working as quickly as she could. The cub made small sounds of discomfort, but it stayed still. When she finished, she sat back and wiped her hands on her pants. The cub lifted its head and looked at her. For a long moment, they simply stared at each other. Human and Keth, two creatures from different worlds, separated by millions of years of evolution, connected by something neither of them could explain. Then the cub did something unexpected. It stood up on shaking legs and took one step toward Una, then another. It stopped just in front of her and lowered its head. A low sound came from its throat. Not a growl, something softer, almost like a purr. Una felt tears forming in her eyes. She did not know why. Maybe because she was tired. Maybe because she was afraid. Or maybe because this small, deadly creature had just shown her something that no other human had ever seen. Trust. "You're welcome," she whispered. She wanted to stay longer. She wanted to pet the cub's head and give it another ration bar and watch it grow stronger. But she knew she had already taken too many risks. The sun would rise in a few hours. The research team would wake up. If anyone found her out here with a Keth cub, even a small one, she would be sent home immediately. Her career would be over, and worse, they might decide to kill the cub. For safety reasons, they would say, because it had been in contact with a human, because it might carry diseases, because it was easier to kill one small predator than to ask difficult questions about what had happened. Una stood up slowly. The cub watched her rise, its eyes following her movement. "You need to go," she said. "Back to the jungle. Find your family if you can, and stay away from the compound. The people here, they don't understand you. They're afraid." The cub tilted its head, as if trying to understand her words. Una pointed toward the darker part of the forest, away from the research station. "Go, that way. Be safe." She turned and began walking back toward the compound. Her heart was pounding. Her legs felt weak. She had just done something incredibly dangerous and incredibly stupid, and she could not bring herself to regret it. She did not look back. She was afraid that if she did, she would see the cub following her, and she would not have the strength to send it away again. She reached the maintenance hatch and slipped back inside. The compound was still quiet. No alarms, no shouting. She had not been caught. Una went to her quarters and changed out of her dirty clothes. She lay down on her bed and stared at the ceiling. Her mind was racing with everything that had happened. The cub's eyes, its soft purr, the feeling of its skin under her fingers as she applied the healing gel. She should report what she had done. That was the proper procedure. Any contact with native wildlife had to be documented and reviewed by the commander. But she knew what would happen if she reported it. Questions, investigations, possibly punishment. And definitely the end of any future research on the Keth. The council would decide that the creatures were too unpredictable, too dangerous for even observation. Una closed her eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow, she told herself, this would all feel like a dream. A strange, beautiful dream that she would keep locked away in her memory forever. She did not expect to see the cub again, but the next night, as she stood at the observation window, watching the green glow of Varos 4, She saw a small blue light appear near the perimeter. It moved in a familiar pattern. Stop. Wait. Move again. Stop. Wait. Like something was looking for something else. Yuna's heart jumped in her chest. She grabbed her tablet and pulled up the security cameras. There, at the edge of the compound's lights, sat the cub. It was looking directly at the station, its eyes glowing bright and healthy. It had come back. For her. Yuna put down her tablet and took a deep breath. She knew she should ignore it. She knew the smart thing was to let the cub wait until it got bored and went away. Every rule she had been taught, every protocol she had memorized, told her to stay inside and forget what had happened. Instead, she went to her locker and pulled out her thermal jacket. She grabbed a handful of ration bars and she slipped out into the jungle. Night, once again, the cub was waiting exactly where she had seen it on the camera. When it saw her approaching, it made that soft purring sound again. Its small tail wagged back and forth. Yuna laughed. She could not help it. The sound bubbled up from somewhere deep inside her, full of joy and wonder and fear all mixed together. "You came back," she said. "You crazy little thing. You actually came back." She sat down on the ground, and the cub walked toward her without hesitation. It pressed its head against her hand, and Yuna felt its warm skin against her palm. She scratched behind its ears, the way she used to scratch her cat back on Earth. The cub's eyes half closed with pleasure. "I need to give you a name," Yuna said thoughtfully. "Can't keep calling you Cub forever." She looked at the creature's golden brown eyes, the color of grain in summer sunlight. "Bori," she decided. "I'll call you Bori. It means barley, something small and golden." Bori purred louder, as if approving of the name, and that was how it began. 3 weeks passed. Bori came back every night without fail. At first, Yuna was careful. She only stayed outside for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. She always checked the security schedules before leaving. She kept to the shadows and avoided the areas covered by cameras. No one noticed her nightly trips to the perimeter. But secrets were hard to keep on a small research station. Dr. Jisoo Han was Yuna's closest friend on the horizon. They had trained together back on Earth, studied together, dreamed together about exploring alien worlds. Jisoo was the ship's exobiologist, responsible for cataloging and analyzing all the plant and animal life on Voros 4. She was brilliant, funny, and extremely observant. Too observant, as it turned out. One morning, Jisoo appeared at Yuna's door with her arms crossed and a suspicious look on her face. "You're stealing ration bars," Jisoo said. Yuna tried to look innocent. "What are you talking about? Don't lie to me. I checked the supply logs. You've taken 37 extra ration bars in the past 3 weeks. You're not eating them yourself because you look thinner than when we started. So where are they going?" Yuna opened her mouth to deny everything, but she stopped. Jisoo was her friend, her best friend. They had promised never to lie to each other, no matter what. "If I tell you," Yuna said slowly, "you have to promise not to report it. Not to anyone, not even the commander." Jisoo's eyes narrowed. "That depends on what it is. Promise me first." "Yuna, I can't just promise to hide something that might put the whole crew in danger. You know that." Yuna sighed. She looked down the empty hallway, then pulled Jisoo into her quarters and closed the door. "Okay," Yuna said, "but you have to see it for yourself tonight. Meet me at the south maintenance hatch at midnight." That night, Jisoo followed Yuna into the jungle. She was scared. Her hands were shaking as they walked through the glowing plants and straying shadows. When they reached the perimeter, she stopped dead in her tracks. Bori was waiting there, as usual. The cub had grown over the past 3 weeks. It was nearly the size of a medium dog now. Its spines were longer and sharper. Its muscles were filling out. It looked like what it was, a predator. But when it saw Yuna, it bounded toward her with its tail wagging like a puppy. Oh my God, Jisoo breathed. Yuna knelt down and caught Bori as it jumped into her arms. She hugged the cub close, letting it lick her face with its rough tongue. Jisoo, meet Bori, Yuna said with a smile. Bori, this is my friend Jisoo. Be nice to her. Bori looked at Jisoo with curious eyes. It sniffed the air in her direction, but made no move to approach her. This is impossible, Jisoo said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Keth don't do this. They don't bond with other species. They don't show affection. They don't wag their tails. I know, Yuna said. But here we are. She told Jisoo everything. Finding Bori trapped in the vines. Freeing it. Treating its wounds. The cub coming back night after night, seeking her out like an old friend. Jisoo listened without interrupting. Her face went through several different expressions. Fear, confusion, wonder, and finally, scientific fascination. This is the most important discovery in xenobiology, Jisoo said when Yuna finished. You understand that, right? No one has ever observed Keth bonding behavior. No one even thought it was possible. I know. But if I report it, they'll take Bori away. They'll run tests on it. Lock it up. Maybe worse. Jisoo was quiet for a long moment. She watched Bori playing with a stick that Yuna had tossed, pouncing on it like a cat with a toy. We need to document this, Jisoo finally said. Properly. Scientifically. If we can prove that Keth are capable of forming bonds with other species, it could change everything. The Council might reconsider their plans for the moon. The Keth might be classified as intelligent life instead of dangerous animals. And if we get caught? Jisoo smiled. It was the brave, reckless smile that Yuna remembered from their training days. Then we get caught together. That's what friends are for. From that night on, Jisoo joined Yuna on her visits to the perimeter. They brought equipment, cameras, biometric sensors, data tablets. They recorded everything. Bori's behavior, its growth rate, its responses to different stimuli. They discovered amazing things. Bori could recognize human facial expressions. It understood the difference between a smile and a frown. It came when Yuna called its name. It brought them gifts every few days. Dead animals from the jungle, dropped at their feet like offerings. Jisoo explained that this was hunting behavior, usually reserved for pack members and offspring. It thinks you're family, Jisoo said with wonder. It's sharing its kills with you. Bori grew quickly. After 2 months, it was nearly as large as an adult dog. Its spines were fully formed now, sharp as knives and strong enough to cut through steel. Its eyes glowed brighter. Its muscles were thick and powerful. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. But around Yuna, it was always gentle. It let her scratch its chin and rub its belly. It purred when she spoke to it. It curled up beside her when she sat down to rest. One evening, as Yuna was preparing to head back to the compound, Bori did something new. It walked in front of her and blocked her path. Then it lowered its head and pushed against her legs, nearly knocking her over. What is it? Yuna asked. Bori made a sound she had never heard before. A high, keening cry, almost like a question. Then Yuna understood. Bori did not want her to leave. She knelt down and took Bori's face in her hands. She looked into those glowing blue eyes and felt her heart break a little. I have to go, she said softly. But I'll come back. I always come back. You know that. Bori held her gaze for a long moment. Then it made that purring sound and stepped aside. As Yuna walked back to the compound, she looked over her shoulder. Bori sat at the perimeter, watching her go. Its eyes glowed like small stars in the darkness. She raised her hand in a wave. Bori's tail wagged once, twice, and then the cub turned and disappeared into the jungle. Yuna wiped her eyes and went inside. What she did not know was that a security drone had flown overhead that night. Its camera had captured everything. The Keth cub, the human woman, the impossible bond between them, and the footage was already being uploaded to Commander Kim's private terminal. Commander Taiho Kim sat in his office and watched the drone footage for the third time. His face showed no emotion. His hands rested flat on his desk. The recording played on his screen, showing Lieutenant Yuna Park kneeling beside a Keth cub, scratching its ears while it purred like a house cat. He should have been angry. He should have called security immediately and had Yuna arrested for violating every protocol in the book. She had endangered herself, the crew, and the entire mission. She had made contact with a species that had killed researchers before. She had kept secrets from her commanding officer, but Taiho could not stop watching the way the Keth looked at her, the way its eyes softened when she spoke, the way it played with a stick and brought her gifts. In 30 years of service, he had never seen anything like it. He closed the video and sat in silence for a long time. Then he pulled up another file, a message from the Galactic Council. They wanted to begin mining operations within 6 months. They wanted the research team to provide data proving that the Keth could be controlled or eliminated. Taiho read the message twice. Then he deleted it. He picked up his communicator and called the security office. "This is Commander Kim. I want all drone footage from the south perimeter for the past 2 months sent to my personal server. Classified. Eyes only." "Yes, sir." "Is there a problem?" Taiho looked at the frozen image of Yuna and the Keth on his screen. "No," he said. "No problem. Just routine review." He ended the call and leaned back in his chair. He had a decision to make. He needed more information first, and he needed to see this impossible creature with his own eyes. The next evening, Yuna and Jisoo headed to the perimeter as usual. They had no idea they were being watched. The commander followed at a distance, staying in the shadows, moving with the careful patience of someone who had spent years in dangerous places. Bori appeared from the jungle right on schedule. The cub was large now, nearly the size of a small adult Keth. Its spines gleamed in the light of the bioluminescent plants. Its eyes glowed bright blue. When it saw Yuna, its whole body seemed to relax with happiness. Yuna laughed and opened her arms. "There you are," she said. "I missed you too, you big baby." Bori made that purring sound and trotted toward her. Its tail wagged back and forth. And then, without any warning, it did something it had never done before. It crouched low on its 6 legs. It gathered its muscles, and it leaped. Jisoo screamed. She saw only what any sane person would see. A deadly predator, claws extended, spines raised, launching itself at her best friend. She tried to shout a warning, tried to push Yuna out of the way, but everything happened too fast. Taiho watched from the shadows. His hand went to his weapon. His finger found the trigger, but Yuna did not run. She did not scream. She did not even flinch. She caught Bori midair. The Keth was heavy, probably 40 kilograms of muscle and bone and deadly natural weapons. Any other person would have been knocked flat. Any other person would have had their throat torn out before they hit the ground. But Yuna was not any other person. She caught the creature with both arms, pivoted on a heel, and spun around in a complete circle. The movement was smooth and natural, like she had done it 1,000 times before. Bori's claws retracted. Its spines flattened against its back. And as Yuna spun, holding the Keth close to her chest, a sound filled the air. Laughter. Yuna was laughing. She was laughing like a child playing with a beloved pet. like a mother swinging her baby through the air, like someone experiencing pure, uncomplicated joy. And Bori was purring. That deep, rumbling sound that no Keth had ever been recorded making. Its eyes were half closed with pleasure. Its tail curled around Yuna's arm like it was holding on for the ride. Taiho lowered his weapon. His hand was shaking. Jisoo stood frozen, her mouth hanging open, unable to process what she was seeing. Yuna set Bori down gently and ruffled the fur between its ears. "Good girl," she said. "You scared Jisoo half to death, you know that? We talked about this. No jumping unless I say so." Bori made a small apologetic sound and pressed its head against Yuna's leg. That was when Taiho stepped out of the shadows. Jisoo yelped in surprise. Yuna spun around, her face going pale. "Commander," she said. "I can explain." Taiho walked toward them slowly. He stopped a few meters away from Bori and looked at the creature with careful eyes. The Keth looked back at him. It did not growl or raise its spines. It simply watched, waiting to see what this new human would do. "The Council wants to mine the Eastern Hemisphere," Taiho said quietly. "They asked me to provide data proving the Keth are just animals. Dangerous pests that need to be controlled." Yuna's heart sank. "Sir, please. Bori isn't dangerous. Not to us. If you just give me time to explain." Taiho held up a hand. "I've been watching you for 3 days, Lieutenant. I've seen everything. The gifts it brings you. The way it responds to your voice. The bond you formed." He looked at Bori again. The Keth tilted its head, almost like it was curious about him. "In 30 years, Taiho said, I've never seen anything like this. I thought I knew what the Keth were. Everyone in the galaxy thinks they know. But we were wrong. Weren't we?" Yuna swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. I believe we were." Taiho was silent for a long moment. The jungle sounds filled the air around them. Insects clicking, night birds calling, the soft rustle of wind through alien leaves. "The drone footage has been classified," he finally said. "No one else has seen it. As far as anyone knows, this never happened." Yuna blinked in confusion. "Sir, but I'm going to change that." Taiho looked at her with something that might have been a smile. "I'm going to send that footage to every news network and scientific institution in the galaxy. I'm going to show them what you showed me tonight. A human woman catching a Keth in midair and laughing about it." Jisoo gasped. "Commander, if you do that, the Council will have to explain why they want to destroy a species that can form bonds with other intelligent beings." Taiho's voice hardened. "Let them try. The whole galaxy will be watching." He turned and walked back toward the compound. At the edge of the clearing, he stopped and looked over his shoulder. "Well, are you coming? We have a lot of work to do before morning." Yuna looked at Bori. The Keth looked back at her with those glowing blue eyes. She scratched behind its ear one more time. "Go home," she whispered. "I'll see you tomorrow night. I promise." Bori purred softly. Then it turned and vanished into the jungle. Yuna and Jisoo followed the commander back to the station. None of them slept that night. By morning, the footage had spread across every network in the known galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. The Galactic Council chamber was larger than any building on Earth. Its ceiling rose so high that clouds formed near the top. On humid days, thousands of seats filled the curved walls, each one occupied by a representative from a different species. The air smelled of 100 different atmospheres, filtered and mixed together to keep everyone alive. Yuna Park stood at the center of it all. She wore her simple research uniform. No medals, no fancy clothes. Just the same outfit she wore when she worked on Boros 4. Beside her, lying calmly on the polished floor, was Bori. The Keth had grown to full size over the past 6 months. She was massive now, nearly 2 meters long and covered in gleaming black skin. Her spines caught the light like blades. Her eyes glowed that beautiful blue that Yuna had come to love. She was, by any standard, one of the most dangerous creatures in the known galaxy. And she was resting her head on Yuna's foot like a tired dog. The chamber was completely silent. Every eye was focused on the human and the predator. Many of the alien representatives had never seen a Keth in person. They knew only the stories, the deaths, the failed expeditions, the terror. Now they watched this impossible sight and did not know what to think. The High Speaker, a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms, leaned forward in its chair. "Lieutenant Park," it said, "you have been brought before this council to explain your actions regarding the Keth specimen designated as Bori." Yuna nodded. "Yes, High Speaker. The footage we have all seen shows you making physical contact with a Keth, catching it as it leaped toward you. This is behavior that should have resulted in your death. Every piece of data we have about the Keth species says this is impossible. And yet, here you stand, alive, with that creature lying peacefully at your feet. Yes, High Speaker. We want to know how. How did you do what no other being in the galaxy has ever done?" Yuna took a deep breath. She had practiced this speech 100 times. Jizu had helped her write it. Commander Taiho had reviewed every word. But now, standing here under the gaze of thousands of alien eyes, she threw all of that away. She decided to speak from her heart instead. "Humans are not special," she began. "We're not the strongest species. We're not the fastest. We're not the smartest. We don't have claws or spines or armor. We can't fly. We can't breathe underwater. We can't survive in the vacuum of space without help." She paused and looked down at Bori. The Keth opened one eye and closed it again, completely relaxed. "But we do have one thing that seems to be rare in the galaxy. We have the ability to look at a predator and see a friend." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Yuna continued. "On Earth, our home planet, we share our world with millions of other species. Many of them are dangerous. Many of them could kill us. Wolves with sharp teeth. Big cats with deadly claws. Bears that could crush our bones with one swipe. But instead of destroying them all, we did something strange. We tried to understand them. We tried to live with them. And sometimes we tried to love them." She smiled at the memory of her grandmother's stories. "We took wolves into our homes and made them into dogs. We tamed wild cats and let them sleep in our beds. We rode horses into battle, trained birds to hunt for us, kept snakes as companions. We looked at creatures that could easily kill us and said, 'I want to be your friend.'" She gestured at Bori. "This is not special. This is not unusual. For humans, this is normal. We bond with things. All kinds of things. We name our vehicles and talk to our plants and feel sad when our machines break down. We have a deep need to connect with other living beings, even when those beings are dangerous." The High Speaker's 4 hands clasped together thoughtfully. "You are saying that humans naturally form bonds with predators." "I'm saying we form bonds with everything. It's who we are. It's what makes us human." A delegate from the Thren Collective stood up. It was a small creature with many eyes and a harsh voice. "This is all very touching," it said. "But the Keth have killed over 300 researchers in the past century. They show no distinction between prey and intruder. Your one example of a bonded Keth does not change what they are. Monsters." Bori's ear twitched at the word, but she did not move. Yuna kept her voice calm. "The Keth are apex predators. That is true. They are territorial, protective, and extremely dangerous to anything they see as a threat. But so are wolves. So are lions. So are many of the creatures humans have learned to live with. The difference is that no one has ever tried to understand the Keth. No one has ever approached them without fear. No one has ever given them a chance. She knelt down beside Bori and scratched behind her ears. The Keth purred loudly, a sound that echoed through the silent chamber. When I found Bori, she was a scared cub caught in a trap. She was hurt and alone and dying. I could have walked away. I could have let nature take its course. But I didn't. I helped her. I freed her. I treated her wounds. And she remembered. Yuna looked up at the thousands of faces watching her. That's the secret. That's the truth about humans. We're not dangerous because we're violent. We're dangerous because we make friends. We see a six-legged killing machine with razor spines and glowing eyes. And our first thought is, I wonder if it likes belly rubs. Laughter rippled through parts of the chamber. Other sections remained silent, still processing what they were hearing. You want to destroy the Keth, Yuna continued. You want to mine their world and push them out and eliminate them as a threat. But what if there's another way? What if, instead of fighting them, we befriend them? What if we send humans to approach them the way I approached Bori? With patience, with kindness, with food and medicine and time. The High Speaker raised one of its hands. You are proposing that humans become caretakers of the Keth species? I'm proposing that we give them a chance. The same chance we gave to wolves and horses and every other predator we've ever tamed. Yuna stood up straight. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. It's in our blood. It's in our bones. Let us help. The chamber exploded into debate. Hundreds of voices spoke at once, arguing and questioning and wondering. But through it all, Yuna noticed something. Many of the delegates were looking at Bori with different eyes now. Not fear, curiosity, maybe even hope. The vote took 3 days. Arguments went back and forth. Scientists testified. Data was reviewed. But in the end, the decision was surprisingly clear. The mining operations were cancelled. Voros 4 was declared a protected world. And Bori was officially recognized as the first Keth ambassador, under the care of Lieutenant Yuna Park. When Yuna walked out of the chamber, Bori walked beside her. The Keth's tail swayed gently, and her eyes glowed with that soft blue light that Yuna loved. Jisoo was waiting outside, along with Commander Taiho and a crowd of reporters and scientists. You did it, Jisoo said, her eyes shining with tears. You actually did it. Yuna smiled tiredly. We did it. All of us. Taiho nodded at her. His face was serious, but there was warmth in his eyes. The galaxy is watching you now, Lieutenant. They're terrified of what humans might do next. Yuna looked down at Bori. The Keth looked back at her with complete trust and love. Good, Yuna said. Maybe they'll finally stop underestimating us. She scratched behind Bori's ear, and the deadliest creature in the known galaxy purred like a kitten. Years later, the practice of human bonding became a recognized strategy throughout the galaxy. Dangerous species were no longer automatically destroyed. Instead, human teams were sent to study them, approach them, and see if friendship was possible. It did not always work. Some creatures were too wild, too alien, too different. But many others responded to human kindness in ways no one expected. The galaxy slowly learned what Earth had known for thousands of years. Sometimes, the best way to tame a monster is to love it. And somewhere on Voros 4, in a jungle of glowing plants and endless green, a fully grown Keth still waited at the perimeter every evening, waiting for a woman who had once caught her mid-leap and spun around laughing. Because that was what humans did. They made family out of monsters. And they never, ever gave up on the ones they loved.